Welcome to our ACSA membership event. I'm Mark Anderson. I'm the president of the Secondary Ed Council. You do please excuse my appearance. It's our homecoming week and it's a virtual homecoming, so today's pajama day, which is no different for the kids than any other day, but I'm in my pajamas today. Very comfortable in the office. But this is hosted by our Secondary Ed Council, our Middle Grades Council, our Elementary Grades Council, and our Co-Administrator Council. And most important, our ACSA membership services led by the great Margie Quizon Armelito, wonderful, wonderful leader in ACSA. And we, of course, want to thank Gary at AIG, a long-term partner. And I want to start by introducing our featured speaker, Dr. Joelle Hood. So she is a former Teacher of the Year and Principal of the Year. Dr. Joelle Hood brings passion, energy, and expertise to empowering all humans to thrive. As co-founder and Chief Empowerment Officer at Thriving University, she uses her knowledge and experience in organizational change and leadership, along with her experience as a mindfulness instructor and life coach, to provide research-based keynotes, coaching, and experiential learning workshops to individuals and organizations throughout the nation. Her areas of passion and expertise include social, emotional, and academic learning, leadership, applied educational neuroscience, mindfulness, the science of belonging and human connection, mindset, restorative practices, employee engagement, trust, and team building, trauma responsive practices, and resilience. It sounds like there's nothing she can't do. But with that, I heard her speak about a year ago, and it was fantastic and very inspiring, and I'm looking forward to it. So I don't want to take any more time. Dr. Joelle Hood.
Oh, I thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm just going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. I want to welcome to Taking Time to Breathe, Research-Based Strategies to Strengthen Your Well-Being and Resilience. This particular presentation we have done as a 7-hour, a 5-hour. I did it today as a 2-hour. We're doing 45 minutes, so I'm just going to give you a taste of each of the science and an activity for each of the letters in our framework. So thanks for being here. I know you're juggling a lot, and the fact that you're here means that you care about not only professional development, but really personal development. When you registered, we should have your email address. So before I go to bed tonight, I will be sending you a copy of the presentation so you can be totally present. You don't have to worry about taking notes for content. You can just take notes of things that inspire you. We'll be sending you the presentation, an ebook, and a Google Drive folder that supports all the things in today's learning. And I'd invite you to really participate in the chat box. Because it's so quick, I'm not gonna pause for a lot of time. I'm going to ask you some questions, and then my business partner, Janine Antonelli, Janine can wave. Janine is the Chief Culture Coach at Thriving University. She is going to be in the chat box answering your questions, responding to you so that we can make this as interactive as possible. So my dissertation was on teacher well-being, and way back when, years before that, my bachelor's was in psychology, and the idea of resilience and well-being and engagement has always been fascinating to me. So I developed this framework called B.R.E.A.T.H.E, and all based on positive psychology, social psychology, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, neuroscience, and all of these things boost your well-being and resilience. So quickly, we're going to look at building belonging, reflecting on purpose, engaging in self-compassion, amplifying our attention, awareness, and awe, tapping into thankfulness, harnessing our thoughts, and empowering empathy. But before we dive in, it's been a long day, so let's just settle for a minute. So I'm going to ask if you can just put your feet on the floor, let your hands be free of anything. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths together. We're going to breathe in like we're smelling the roses, and we're going to exhale out of our mouth like we are blowing out candles. Okay, so let's just take a minute and just notice our breath first. Make sure we're still breathing. All right, big inhale in through the nose, smell the roses, and blow out the candles. Smell the roses and blow out the candles. On this last one, let out a big audible sigh. No one can hear you. You're on mute. Here we go. Smell the roses and blow out the candles. I don't know about you, but I can feel a significant shift in my body and in my mind when I do that. And it makes sense because when we inhale through our nose, we stimulate our vagus nerve, the largest bundle of nerves in our body, serves to slow our heart rate, lower our blood pressure, and really just put us in, you know, a calmer and more present presence. What mindfulness is, it simply means, some people associate it with meditation, and yes, you practice mindfulness in meditation, but mindfulness itself just means paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment or criticism. It sounds pretty easy, but we really don't do it a lot. My favorite definition of mindfulness is just being where your feet are. Right now, your feet are in the Zoom room, but your mind might be on, what am I going to have for dinner? What happened today? What's going to happen tomorrow? And your mind will be all over the place, even though your feet are here. And the more that you practice mindfulness, those things will still happen. Your mind will still wander, but your ability to bring it back sooner will be the privilege. The other benefits are it positively impacts both mental and emotional health and boosts our immune system, something we need right now in the middle of a pandemic. It expands our attention span and working memory and boosts workplace morale. So let's just dive in right now to belonging. What is belonging? Belonging is not a global feeling. It is very context specific. So I can walk into one office, one classroom, one staff room, one living room and say, oh my gosh, it feels so good here. Like I feel like I can be myself. I feel valued. I feel appreciated. This feels good. And I can walk into the office next door or the staff room down the hall or another classroom or somebody else's living room and go, ugh, I don't feel like I can be myself. I feel like I have to walk on eggshells. Are they judging me? Why is she looking at me funny? And when we feel that, that is a sense of not belonging. And that feeling of not belonging, whether through loneliness, which is not being alone. I'm an introvert. I love being alone. But loneliness can be felt in a room full of people when you don't feel connected, when you don't feel like you belong. And that's as harmful to your body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And as we get older, it increases our risk of high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and dementia. Now, you might be like, seriously, Joelle, are you making that up? No, I'm not. If you email me, I will send you the study. It's true. And actually, it's not that far-fetched when you think about our senior citizens, our elderly, who when they start losing their social connections, their physical health deteriorates. On the other hand, when we, get support from someone, we get an encouraging word or a shared laugh or a hug or a gesture of kindness, some fun together, it actually causes our stress levels to go down. We get a drop in cortisol, our stress hormone. Our immune system is bolstered and our heart literally gets stronger. So again, I can't think of a better time to focus on building belonging. We sometimes think it's fluffy, but when physical distancing is deemed necessary, social and emotional connectedness is even more critical. We are going to go into breakout rooms, and actually this says trio talk, but we have, because of our numbers, we're going to do it in pairs to give you a little bit more time. And what's going to happen is this. In a few moments, you'll get an announcement saying join a breakout room. And you're going to answer this question with your partner. What is one thing on your bucket list? The person whose first name is closest to the letter A is going to go first. They'll introduce themselves, they'll share one thing on their bucket list, and then their partner will introduce themselves and share one thing on their bucket list. Just to give you an example, a bucket list is just anything you want to do before you leave this planet. I definitely want to see the Northern Lights. I almost went last year. I'm not going to make it this year, and I will make it in the next 5 years. So just share with partner. You can have 2 minutes, and we're going to set it up so that it's 30 seconds. You'll get a reminder to come back. It's very easy to click on it and come back early. Please don't, because we want to make sure that both people get that equal amount of time. You'll automatically be bounced back at the end of 2 minutes. All right, so have fun. What is one thing on your bucket list? Ready? Go. I see people bouncing back. And Janine just let me know that there were some people who weren't assigned. I think you may have come in. So hopefully now everybody is set. The next question that you're going to ask with a new partner is, tell your partner one fun fact about you. And if you get hung up on fun, then tell your partner one boring fact about you. So fun fact about me real quick is that I am in National Lampoon's European Vacation. What makes it fun is it's only for about 5 seconds. So if you don't know exactly where it is, you will miss me. But if you ever want to know, I'll send you a clip. Okay, so the person going first is going to be the person with the most pets. So figure that out, introduce yourself. You'll have 2 minutes in the room. You'll get a notice. If you're in a room by yourself, hang tight. Janine will look for you and make sure that you get a partner. Ready? Go. Last question. If you could give a medal to someone in your family, and I say family instead of family because I've been in education long enough to know, one, not everyone has a family, and two, not everybody likes their family. So you have the chance to share with a partner about who you would give a medal to, what would the medal be called and why, and it includes, you can include friends that you consider family. Okay, this is the last one. Again, 2 minutes. And the person whose birthday is closest to today is going to go first. Go make a fast friend, and I'll see you in 2. Everyone's coming back. It's good to see the numbers. Hopefully you enjoyed that activity. I want to point out 2 things before we go on. One is we didn't just send you in a room, right? Sometimes when we ask our staff or students to talk to each other, we just say, hey, talk to each other. Or even if we do give them a question, there's kind of that awkward thing like, who's going to go first? Do you want to go first? Should I go first? So just randomly picking who will go first kind of eases that. You might also find that when you have good questions, that's natural conversation starters as well. So in the chat box, and again, Janine will be monitoring that, you can share how you felt about talking with your friend. I know there was a little bit of technical difficulties for some, but hopefully you at least had a couple partners that you could talk to. So big idea here. We need to seek out social connection, and we need to be brokers of relationships. It's not enough for us to have a good relationship with our staff or our good relationship with our students. We have to help broker relationships, student to student and staff to staff. So these are reflection questions, again, because you're going to get a copy of this presentation, and I hope that you go back to it and look and reflect and journal. If you would like to respond in the chat box, I would invite you to do so. If not, just at least reflect in your mind. So I want you to think about, in your experience, how has a feeling of not belonging at work or school affected your attitude, motivation, engagement, and performance? Whether, when you were a student in school or at any job you've ever had, how did that impact your performance and engagement? And think about, how can you start creating space for building belonging and cultivating connection at work in order to strengthen the well-being and resilience of you and your team? Our next letter in the framework is reflect on purpose. And I love this quote by David Viscott, who says, the purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it, and the meaning of life is to give your gift away. And people who have a high sense of purpose actually report less stress and anxiety even after a stress-filled day than people who don't have a strong sense of purpose. Additionally, people who have a strong sense of purpose tend to live 7 years longer than those who don't. And I think about my mom. My parents' names are Barbie and Ken. I'm not making that up either. And Barbie and Ken are ministers, and they're retired. They're 87 years old. And my mom used to speak. She's traveled country at all these women's Christian conferences speaking. And about 6 months ago, before COVID, she shared with me, she's like, Joey, because that's what my family calls me, I don't know what my purpose is anymore. I used to speak, but I can't do that now. And she's losing her memory, so she definitely can't do that now. And I said, I was horrified because I know that those people with a sense of purpose live longer. I didn't want to tell her that, but I said, that's okay, let's work on that, Mom. And so, the next day we went to lunch at a Claim Jumper, and we're walking across the lobby, and my mom sees this woman, and she starts talking to her. The woman hugs her, and they're talking, and I'm thinking, does my mom know this lady? Like, is she hugging strangers in Claim Jumper? I don't know what's happening. So after it was over, I asked my mom, what was that all about? And she said, and I'm not kidding about this either, this is her voice, she said, well, I just looked at that lady and I felt like I needed to tell her that she just had a really nice face. And when I told her that, she said, "You have no idea how much I needed to hear that today." And so she hugged me and I hugged her back. And I said, "Mom, that's your purpose." And she's like, "What?" I said, "You don't need to speak to 500 people or 100 people. You could just pick one person a day that you make feel valued and appreciated and seen." And she's like, "Do you think so? Is that my purpose?" And I'm like, "Yes, Mom, it's your purpose. Let's add 7 years to that life." Anyway, when people aren't connected to their sense of meaning and purpose, it doesn't just negatively impact them, but their coworkers, their family, everyone around them. We do a lot of work with teachers all over the country, and we dive into the why. And a lot of times, you know, teachers will say, I'll go, "What's your why?" And they say, "Teaching." And I said, "No, teaching is a what? What's your why? Why do you teach?" And they'll say, "Oh, I want to be the teacher that, makes a connection with students. I want to be the teacher that teaches students math because they need that skill to survive." And in particular, this one district we work with in Tennessee, the principal went back to the training and had all the staff come up with their why and post it on the little window by their classroom. And this one just struck me. This is Mrs. Dar. She is a music teacher, and she says, "Music helped me find my voice, both literally and figuratively. I teach so that I can help others find their voice too." Like, can you imagine that? And Tennessee is back in school. They're in person. Can you imagine, even on the most stressful day, when she walks into her class and she's thinking, "Why am I here? Ugh." And she looks at that and she says, "Oh yeah, that's why I'm here. So I can help others find their voice." Because when we know our why, our what has so much more impact. So in thinking about some reflective, I like to say to be more effective, get more reflective. And again, I would love for you to answer in the chat box. If not, at least reflect in your own mind and look at these later. What are your thoughts about how, when we know our why, our what has more impact? And how would it impact you and others if you were living in purpose and on purpose? The next letter in the framework is E, and it's engage in self-compassion. What is self-compassion? It's just showing kindness and compassion to ourselves, just like we would to a friend or someone else we care about. Some people get hung up on myths of self-compassion, that somehow it's a form of self-pity or weakness, or it's going to make me complacent. Or on the other end of this spectrum, they can think, "Oh, this is going to make me seem narcissistic or selfish." But the exact opposite is true. Remember our brain's #1 priority? Keeping us alive. And if you feel like you're barely treading water, if you're literally in a body of water and you're barely hanging on, every instinct will make it impossible for you to help somebody next to you who's also barely hanging on. Your brain wants to keep you alive. And the same, metaphorically, if we're barely hanging on ourselves, we're not going to be able to help others to the extent that we want to. So self-compassion is not just a gift for you, but for those that you want to support. Dr. Kristen Neff, who's the guru of self-compassion, has been studying it for years and years and years. She says that we should engage in these self-compassion breaks. And the first step is being mindful. We have to be paying attention that we're even having a moment of suffering and name it. This hurts, this is stressful, this is frustrating, this is sad. And the second piece is kind of, it sounds weird, but suffering is a part of life. And I don't say that to be cold or callous, but, everyone right now in this Zoom room has suffered, will suffer, and most likely is suffering right now in some kind of way. And again, I don't say that to be indifferent. I say that because when you are suffering, what makes it 10,000 times worse is when you feel like you're alone. One of the things that we've seen in our doing distance learning, right, in our professional learning, is when we do breakout rooms with different prompts, people come back and they say, "It was so nice just to have someone share that they're having the same struggle as I am." Right? It makes us feel comforted to know that we're not alone in that struggle. The third piece is just showing kindness to yourself in whatever language that means to you. May I forgive myself? May I be strong? My particular thing that I say to myself is, Joelle, just give yourself some grace. You're doing the best you can with what you got. Just give yourself some grace. So I'm going to invite you to do another 3 breaths right now. This time, I would also invite you to put your hand on your heart. And the reason why is because we're mammals, and mammals self-soothe. and there's something just comforting. You don't have to do it, but I would invite you to. This time we're going to do the same thing, breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth. But I'm going to say breathing in, I do my best, and then we'll take a big inhale. And then I'll say breathing out, I let go of the rest, and a big exhale. And I would invite you to say it out loud, or at least in your mind right along with me. All right? This is one of my favorites. Here we go. Breathing in, I do my best. And breathing out, I let go of the rest. Breathing in, I do my best. And breathing out, I let go of the rest. Last time. Breathing in, I do my best. And breathing out, I let go of the rest. And then you can add a word of kindness. Joelle, just give yourself some grace. You can say whatever it is for you. I know I've been doing that one a lot lately. So, big ideas of self-compassion. Pay attention to how you're feeling, be mindful, and how you're speaking to yourself. Name it to tame it. Recognize the shared humanity that we're all suffering in some way right now. Be kind to yourself and give yourself grace. And the reflection piece on this one is, how have you been engaging in self-care and self-compassion? And how would you like to? Moving on to our next letter, it's amplifying attention, awareness, and awe. And the truth is, we have a very difficult time focusing attention. We think we're multitasking, but that's actually a myth. The brain does not multitask. We switch tasks. We can do it pretty quickly, but just like an app, when you have a whole bunch of apps running on your phone and it drains the battery, the same is true for our brain. When we're constantly switching tasks, it takes a toll. I used to pride myself on, I used to say this word out, I used to say out loud, I'm the best multitasker there is. That was my go-to when I was a principal. And, then I had all kinds of physical problems, appendix out, gallbladder, it was not healthy. And now I would say I'm probably busier than ever, but I'm really pretty religious about single tasking. So in the Google Drive folder that we send you, there's some articles on single tasking, and I highly encourage you to read those. It's really important. Great skill. The other thing we do is we're not really aware of what's happening around us. We're so on autopilot, and autopilot's great if you're riding a bike. I mean, you don't want to have to think about balancing and, all that. It just, muscle memory helps us do that on autopilot. But when we're autopilot in life, we miss people smiling at us, or people who may need us, or a sunset, or all kinds of different things. And so when you start finding yourself in too much autopilot, you want to be able to interrupt that. When we are strengthening our awareness, our attention, then we get to experience the wonderful awesomeness of awe. And awe is an emotion that has numerous health benefits, but we only can experience it when we're aware and when we're paying attention, because awe is that sense of wonder when you see something vast. And I don't mean vast as in big. I mean, it could be big. It could be the Grand Canyon, or a sunset, or a hummingbird, or the birth of a child, or it could be an ant carrying a big giant crumb. And you're like, wow, how does that little ant do that? That is a sense of wonder. And one of the ways that you can find this awe, one of my favorite ways, is to go on an awe walk. And awe walks are different than exercise walks, although you'll be getting exercise. But the whole point of an awe walk is to notice, to pay attention and be aware. So to notice the different colors of leaves, to notice the crispness or the warmness of the air, to hear the sounds of the birds chirping, to see people's decorations up, or whatever you see along the way, right? So you're going to get information about awe walk. I'm actually going to send you a video and a description of how to do an awe walk, and this is something that you can do immediately, right? You can start it tomorrow. One way that we can strengthen our attention, awareness, and awe is by strengthening our mindfulness, because that's paying attention on purpose. So there are many, many apps. I love the Calm app, but there are two apps right now who are offering it free for educators, and that's Headspace, and it's just headspace.com/educators, and Stop, Breathe, Think, and I believe that one is the same, stopbreathethink.com/educators. Calm also, they used to offer it free for educators. They don't anymore, but if you have Kaiser, I just found out today that it is free for all Kaiser users. So you can check that out as well. Big idea here. Practicing mindfulness can boost our attention, our awareness, and awe. Start trying single tasking. Go on an awe walk or sit and listen to sounds around you, but just start paying attention. Reflecting. How many tabs are open in your brain, even right now? When was the last time that you saw a sunrise or a sunset? What else are you missing while you're just going on autopilot? Think about the boost in well-being that happens just by prioritizing our awareness, our attention, and awe, and taking some mindful moments. Again, in the ebook that we send you, there's more activities to delve into this, and the Google Drive folder, just trying to give you a taste of all the framework tonight. The T, tap into thankfulness and appreciation. This is one of my favorites. You have probably heard of all the health benefits of gratitude. Every Thanksgiving time, there seems to be all kinds of articles about gratitude, but just in case you forgot, I'll give you a quick refresher. Gratitude increases happiness and life satisfaction, feelings of optimism, joy, pleasure, enthusiasm. It strengthens our immune system, lowers our blood pressure, reduces symptoms of illness, makes us less bothered by our aches and pains, and helps us sleep better, which means instead of counting sheep, you can count your blessings. It boosts resilience, strengthens relationships, and reduces anxiety and depression. One way that you can build it, and I'm just going to grab, I think I have it right here. So this is my daily planner. I have a Panda planner. And the first thing it asks me every morning is, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? Every morning, I write down 3 things. And on rough mornings, sometimes it's just like this cup of coffee and my next cup of coffee, you know, and other days there's lots to be grateful for. So my challenge to you is this, depending on where you are, I would ask you, depending on whether you're a morning person or an evening person, or you could do both, but when you get up in the morning or before you go to bed, to write down 3 good things. You can do it in your computer, you could do, keep notes in your phone, write it down. Or if you want an extra challenge, if you're feeling like you really need to tap into some gratitude, then use hand washing as a signal to your brain. Just try doing this at least one day. Try it tomorrow. And every time you wash your hands, think of 3 good things while you're washing your hands. So it could be, I'm grateful for running water. I'm grateful for warm water. I'm grateful for the electricity that's lighting up this room so I can wash my hands. It might be as simple as that, or it could be something bigger, but I would challenge you to do that. I think of gratitude as an internal thing. And when we want to bump it up a notch, then we express that gratitude in the form of appreciation. There is a great book that I would, oh, it's right here, that I would highly recommend to all leaders. It's called The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. It's an awesome book, lots of belonging and purpose and different things in there. But in that book, he says, thank yous aren't just an expression of gratitude. They're crucial belonging cues that generate a contagious sense of safety, connection, and motivation. In other words, when we hear, we don't even have to be the giver or receiver. When we hear people thanking other people and people graciously accept, that sends us a message like, hey, this is a pretty cool place to work. This is a cooperative place to work. So I told you about 3 good things. Now I'm going to teach you about another 3. This is the 3-part thank you. So I love this 3-part thank you. It is research-based. This is from the work of Jane McGonigal, who's Kelly McGonigal's sister, but that's another story. Okay, so in a 3-part thank you, the first thing you want to do is find the benefit. What happened? What was good? And then in the second part, you're going to acknowledge the effort that person made. What might have been hard for them? Maybe they got up early. Maybe they drove out of their way. Maybe they took something off your workload. And then what was the impact it had on you? So it made you feel valued. It helped you wake up. It took something off your plate. And then the last piece of it is spot the strength. Spot the strength. So I'm going to give you a minute right now. I'm going to read this to you, but you might want to take a picture of the screen because you're not going to get the presentation until before I go to bed. And I'd love for you to do this before you go to bed. I'd like you to text someone a 3-part thank you, or you could type it and then call the person and read it to them before you go to bed. So the idea here is, you know, example, thank you for listening to me talk about what was bothering me. Very specific, not thank you for being you, right? Thank you for listening to me talk about what was bothering me. It was so thoughtful of you because I know how busy you've been with work, but you still took time to hear what was going on in my life. That's the effort piece, which made me feel valued. That's the impact piece. You are really good at making other people feel supported. Now, last week I was at an ACSA event. It was actually ACSA Salinas, and we did Taking Time to Breathe. And at the end, the person who organized it, she was thanking me, and then she read me her 3-part thank you that she wrote to me. And I started crying, and I was like, wow, the impact of that was amazing for me, and it helped her savor her gratitude, and it was beautiful. So I will say that sometimes, you know, I have people do this during the day, and they'll say, oh my gosh, my husband was like, is everything okay? Why are you sending me this? Or, you know, some people say, my wife was like, are you drinking at work? Why are you sending me this text from work? You know, because we're not necessarily used to sending thank yous and receiving them. So big idea here, look for the good, cultivate an attitude of gratitude, 3 good things, show appreciation, and give 3-part thank yous. The reflection piece on this is, how could you incorporate 3 good things into your daily habits? And how would sending a daily 3-part thank you impact your well-being and make someone else's day? I'm gonna take a quick sip of water. Oh, I just looked at the chat box. Great paragraph template to use in writing gratitude notes. Yes, yes, yes. Please keep me posted. Okay, next letter. Harness your thoughts. Remember when I said that we don't spend, it's very difficult for us to be in the present where our feet are? And that's because we do a lot of overthinking. We are ruminating about the past, which we can't control because it's already happened. We are worrying about the future. You know, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if he says this? What if I do this? Right? And most of the things we worry about don't even happen. And so we spend all of this time and energy putting our brain, you know, on a thought spiral. A very specific kind of thought is an automatic negative thought, or we like to call them ants. And I am going to hold this up to my camera. I actually have a giant ant that I keep on my desk, so that when I'm having one of these thoughts, I can go, well, you're just having an ant, so let go of it. These are some ants. We're going to send you a Chatting with Ants document that you can explore a little bit more about this, but I'm going to highlight 2 of them. One is comparison. So Teddy Roosevelt said comparison is the thief of joy. And that was before he even knew about social media, right? And so there's a lot of it going on social media, but not just there. It happens in the staff room. It happens in grade levels. It happens in departments where we're saying, how come they get to do that? You know, or, you know, just even thinking of the pandemic, you know, like, how come she lost 25 pounds and I've gained 25 pounds during this pandemic? You know, how come they're so resilient and I can barely get off the couch? We're comparing ourselves, and that is not helpful. The other thing we do, kind of similar, is we should on ourselves. And I'm going to say this fairly slowly so you don't think I'm saying a naughty word, but stop shooting on yourself, right? And by that I mean, stop saying, I should be thinner, I should be smarter, I should be working more, I should be working less, I should be a better parent, I should. Shoulding is not goal setting. Shoulding is just burying yourself down in a thought hole. Okay, it is not helpful. So when you hear those words come out of your mouth, change your language. It matters. And just remember that you're having an ant. Another strategy that you can do is 50 snaps. And we're going to do it first, and then I'll explain why later. So I'm going to ask you to give your hands a little stretch and put them out in front of you. And when I say go, we are going to snap together 50 times. I'm going to count silently so I don't mess with your count. When I do this with Janine, she likes to like mess up my count. She likes to, you know, give me out. But we're not going to do that. Not right now. Okay, ready? On your mark, get set, go. Those last 5 are a little hard on my thumbs. I think I'm getting arthritis in my old age. All right. So you were like, Joelle, why did we do that 50 snaps? What's that all about? Well, while you were counting and snapping, do you know what you were not doing? Thinking. That's right. You cannot count and snap and think at the same time. So sometimes when we get ourselves into a thought spiral or thought hole, we just need to interrupt that. I have 5 crazy dogs, okay? And sometimes they're barking at each other or they're barking at the neighbor. And all I have to do, I happen to not have one right now, but you know, I need to just make a noise, right? And when I make a noise, it interrupts them and they stop. It's the same thing with our thoughts. If we can just interrupt it, then it's easier to get out of it. So big idea there. And by the way, we teach this to educators all over, and they're emailing us like hashtag 50 snaps all day today, Joelle, like it was a day, you know? So big idea here, harness your thoughts, interrupt and challenge your negative thoughts, shoo those little ants away. You can never, they're just like real ants. You can never totally exterminate them, but you can learn how to be a good shooer. And hashtag 50 snaps or hashtag snap out of it. The reflection question is this. You are the DJ of your own mind. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but you are able to change the songs that you're playing. And so choose your songs wisely. What do you want? What thoughts do you want to allow in your brain? What are you saying to yourself? And so what are your automatic negative thoughts? What are your answers? Are you a comparer? Are you a should'er? Are you a always or never thinking? And how could remembering that you are the DJ of your own mind and learning to interrupt your negative thinking, over comparing yourself to others or shoulding on yourself, how could that help boost your well-being and strengthen your resilience? Okay, in the home stretch, last letter is empower empathy. What is empathy? There are 3 types. We have affective empathy. That's about feelings, right? So if you see someone jump for joy, they're so happy and you find yourself smiling too, that's affective empathy. Or someone is sad and you're with them in that and you feel sad too. That is affective empathy. Cognitive empathy has nothing to do with feelings. It's all about thoughts. And it's the ability to say, I can see their perspective, or, you know, I don't necessarily agree with them, but I can stand in their shoes. I can understand. It's our relating to other people's thoughts. Then we have compassionate empathy, which is the ability to take our affective empathy and our cognitive empathy and put them all together and engage in appropriate action to maybe help someone in need or someone that's in pain. When we give and receive empathy, we produce the neurotransmitter oxytocin, which, you know, is a magical thing. Some people call it the cuddle hormone, but it creates a sense of trust and cooperation and helps us negotiate conflict, whether that's couples or communities or states or countries. And when we do that, then we have a better chance at building belonging, right? Going back to the beginning and really having that connection. My favorite tool for empathy is to get curious, not furious. I wish I had coined this term. I did not. I read it in an article about 5 years ago, and I thought I would try it. So I love to drive, but other cars on the road sometimes annoy me. And 5 years ago, when a car would cut me off, colorful language that Barb and Ken would not be proud of would come out of my mouth. And it wasn't at them. No, they couldn't hear me, but I could hear me. And what happened was I would embody that and I would get really mad. I'd get furious. So I'm like, all right, let me see if this thing works. So I'm driving in the car and, you know, someone cuts me off and I'm like, I'm curious. All right. I'm curious who taught you how to drive. I'm curious how long you've been driving. I'm curious where you're going. Curious if you're on your way to the hospital because someone got hurt. I'm curious if you're on your way to the hospital because someone's having a baby. I'm curious if you're on your way to the first job interview in 10 years and you're 10 minutes late. Now, in reality, that person could have just been a terrible driver. But what shifted was me. I wasn't furious. In fact, I really got into curiosity. It became like a game. Like, I wonder where they're going. I would tell myself a whole little story in their head. But it also put me in a place of empathy because I thought of all the times I've been late for an important meeting or I had to go to the bathroom really bad and I might have driven poorly, right? And so it put me in a place of non-judgment. So I thought, I wonder if I can try this with real people. So I tried it on my husband. And, you know, sometimes the people we love can get under our skin, right? And so when my husband says something to hurt my feelings or make me feel angry, I ask myself 2 questions. What's going on with him that caused him to say or do whatever it was? Is he hungry? Is he tired? Is he worried about the bills? Is he worried about his mom's health? And the second question is, what's going on with me that it bugged me? Because he did it yesterday and I didn't care, and then he did it today and I'm like, oh, hell no. Am I tired? Am I hungry? Am I worried about bills? Am I worried about my mom's health? And those 2 questions are game changers, because probably the most important reason is they put a very powerful and purposeful pause in between what you were initially going to fly out of your mouth and then what you actually say. And 2, again, it puts you in a place of empathy, of remembering when you may have acted in a way that was, less than perfect. So big ideas here: get curious, not furious, recognize our shared humanity. And in the reflection, to be more effective, get more reflective. Who do you need to get more curious about? Who's getting under your skin that maybe you need to get a little curious about? Whose perspective do you need to consider? And how could recognizing our shared humanity make a positive difference in your life right now? So very quickly, that was the quick version. Building belonging, reflecting on purpose, amplifying your attention, awareness, and awe, tapping into thankfulness and appreciation, harnessing your thoughts, and empowering empathy. These things will strengthen your well-being and resilience, and frankly, I'm just going to say, your happiness. What I'd love for you to do, because now I can actually look at the chat box, I would love you to, in the comment in the chat box, to just share an amen, something you already knew, but it was just reconfirmed again today, or an aha, something new that you learned, or an action that you'll take based on today's learning. And I will be sending you a feedback form in the email that I send you later tonight. But if you don't get an email from me by tomorrow morning, please hunt me down. It might mean that I typed too fast and missed you. I'm going to look in the chat box. Stop shooting yourself. I love it. Oh, Janine, you're on fire. She put the feedback form in there already. Thank you. Yes. All right. I know that was quick. 50 snaps you're using. All right, Kendra, thank you. You have to pay attention to experience. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing and turn it back over.
All right. Well, let's give Dr. Joelle Hood a big hand. Yay.
Thank you.
That's awesome information. Thank you, Joelle. It was very enlightening for me. I got, I picked up a couple of new things. I need to stop shitting myself. Anyone else need to stop shitting themselves?
I need a shirt that says stop shitting yourself.
Exactly, exactly. Well, thank you for that. I think we have a couple minutes actually for some questions. If anyone wants to ask Dr. Hood a question, just go ahead and turn on your mic, because this is a networking event, so we want it to be kind of interactive. If you have a question for her, just go ahead and pop in and shout it out.
Hopefully I have an answer.
Anyone?
I need to say that normally when I go to these types of trainings or presentations, I'm happy if I walk away with one thing, but the majority of things you said I'm walking away with. I can't wait to share it with my staff, my family, anybody I come in contact with, and as soon as this is over, I'm going to see if I can buy some ants. Plastic ones that I'm going to put in each teacher's box.
I love it. Thank you so much for saying that, Deborah. Thank you. I should say too, we do have a Taking Time to Breathe for kids on the Thrively platform. I'll send you some info in the email. Any other questions?
Awesome. Any other questions? We have 60 seconds still.
Oh my gosh, can you believe I finished early? Woo!
I know. 50 snaps for you, girl.
I know.
And I'm going to say one more thing with that appreciation walk or the awe walk, because I have students that are home with distance learning. I'm going to tell them to do an awe walk in their house. So I'm going to encourage the teachers to say, I just want you to walk through your house and look at the things you're appreciative of, because I don't think our kids recognize that. And so I want them to come back and share those things, because they need to appreciate everything that we do have.
I'm glad that you said that, Deborah, and I'm just going to add something real quick. So one of the teachers we work with, her name is Kathy Schmidt. She's in Yucaipa, Calamasa District. She works in Alt Ed, where our heart is, and she took her kids on an all walk around the school, and she didn't know if they were going to like it, and they loved it and asked if they could do one every week. So you just never know, you know, because we don't take the time to do it. I just got the chills. Yeah, special.
All right, well, thanks, Deborah, for your questions. So I'm going to transition the program to our small breakouts now, but before we do that, we have a special partner who's joining us this evening, and I want to give him a chance to just speak to you a little bit for about 60 seconds. His name is Gary Hirsch. I think I said that right, Gary? And he is from our partners at AIG. They've been a partner of ACSA for a very long time. I want to say like since 1979. I mean, that should speak to how committed they are to our organization and to serving our school leaders. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand it over to Gary.
Hey, thanks, Milton. Thanks for the talk. I learned a lot there as well. I'll just share a couple quick things. You know, I know, first of all, I want to thank you for having us here, and thank you all for all that you do. I'm married to a teacher, so I know how incredibly, not only hard that you guys work during regular times, but how much more so now I'm trying to adapt to online learning. My living room is a classroom, my kitchen, I should say. So it's really great, all that you're doing. What we do is what we help you with what you do after you're done teaching, right? What are you doing when you're done with your career? And I'm just going to share two things here very quickly. One is, and I hope you all can see this. This is from the CalSTRS handbook. And basically, you know, as teachers, as educators, what you get that most of us in the corporate world don't get once you retire is a defined benefit pension plan. You get mailbox money, and that's great. But the question is, how do you feel about taking a 40% pay cut your first day of retirement, right? So CalSTRS members who are 2% at 60 after 25 years of service, you can expect 50% of your pre-retirement income as a pension. And that's great, and that's still 50% less than you were getting before. So the question is, what do you do to make that up? And that's what we help you with. And whether it's an AIG retirement services rep or a rep from another company, I would encourage you all to talk to those folks, and not necessarily this audience, because this audience as administrators and principals, you've been doing this a long time. And so chances are you've got savings going on. But what's happening with your newer teachers, right? Has anybody talked to them about doing this type of thing? So just share something else real quick if I can figure it out, is if anybody wants, nobody calls all day until I get on the phone, you know? If anybody wants more information, you can just, oops. There's my information, or if you use your phone and take a picture of that, that'll bring you to a site where you can put in information, and I can have somebody in your area call you that can do a meeting with your staff, talk to you about what you have, anything you'd like. So that's all the time I'll take now, and thanks for having me in.
Thank you, Gary. We'll also be including a link to Gary's information in our follow-up email for everyone. All right, and then because this is a membership event, I would be remiss if I didn't ask somebody to talk about membership really quickly. So I'm going to call on Rebecca Cook. She's the chair of our Member Services Committee. Real fast, Rebecca.
Oh, and I knew I was going and I didn't unmute. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. Joelle, I can't thank you enough. You're amazing. Real quick, I could go through the list of all the things that ACSA does and ACSA has, and the legal support and the mentors and the website and all of that. But what I really want to share with you are three big items that ACSA does for me. One, the trainings. The trainings are incredible, exactly what we had tonight, right? The Leadership Summit, all the keynotes, the institutes. I've been to, I think, almost every one of them that they offer. The leadership opportunities, that's my number two. I put three fingers up, that's great. That's my number two, are the leadership opportunities where you get, I started in the charter, I went to my region, and now I'm fortunate enough to be allowed to lead the Member Services Committee at the state level. It's such an honor. I have met so many new people, And as I go through academies, I see people in here that I've met through my academies. That's my third piece, is networking. I absolutely love the networking I get through ACSA, and I will say it is a sense of belonging, which, Joelle, is number one, right? It is a sense of belonging, and I have new friends, I have new colleagues, I have made connections, and I realized I started out with a really loud yell, so I'm sorry if I startled anyone. I'm just real excited about ACSA, and I'm going to stop because I think I'm out of time.
Well done, Rebecca. Well done. All right, and I forgot to do the raffle for Gary. He's giving away an Amazon Echo Dot. So Josh, if I could ask you to pull up our raffle wheel, we're gonna choose a winner randomly. Wow, Letitia, you're the winner. All right, so Gary, I will send you information about Letitia so that you can ship that Echo Dot to her directly.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I think now we're gonna move into our small groups. So Josh, will you pull up the window that sends people to the small breakout rooms? What did you guys chat about in your little boxes, in your little breakouts? Who wants to jump in?
Our little boxes.
That's what I heard in my little box.
Anyone want to share?
Antoinette, share for our group.
I was trying to not use up the airtime, Dr. Hood go. So we had a great discussion, and one of the things that we started talking about, we went really quickly through the things that we were going to take away with us and share. And then we ended up discussing how there's some really cool things that kind of come out of this, like the fact that our Northern Cal colleagues and us can meet each other, which wouldn't really happen to a lot of the conferences that we attend, or little get-togethers or membership drives and things. And then we also talked about, like Joelle said, a lot of the commonalities of the things that we're experiencing, right? So like that fatigue that our teachers are experiencing, the families and us, and then how we're coping with it, and then how we can apply some of those things that we spoke about today to our lives. Is that okay?
Awesome. Okay, someone from a different group want to share out. What'd you guys talk about? Who's not in Antoinette's group?
I'll share. So we talked about, we got to talk about just fun facts about ourselves and our families. And yeah, I was in the group with my colleague, Kathy, who works in my district, and I didn't even know she drove a forklift. Like, I learned something new about her today. But it was nice to just find out and just, you know, make a connection when you see them through social media, or you see them, you know, like at a conference, but you don't really get to talk, but you get to know each other a little bit more. So I appreciate those opportunities for those small breakout rooms, because it does help to connect and make it more personable.
It does. Even I met some new people today, both through the peer share. Joelle's peer share was a great idea. I met a couple of new people, and then in my little small group here. Okay, I think we have time for like one more from a group that hasn't already shared.
I'll jump in.
Cool.
So for our group, we talked about our own personal practices for self-care. We shared whether or not we did walks. One individual was doing knitting at 4 in the morning, which was really interesting. We also talked about best practices in terms of taking care of those that we work with and just recognizing their efforts. And so one of the individuals in our group talked about doing lawn signs for all of their teachers and staff members. So they drove out to whatever city that their teacher lived in, and randomly, they put lawn signs out there on at their homes. And so there's a lot of them were appreciative of it, but just being mindful for those of you that are thinking about that, is that some teachers did not find it too appreciative that others may know where they live. So just be mindful of that if you're thinking about doing that. But also note cards and postcards and emailing those or mailing those out, just recognizing the importance and the appreciation that you have towards all of your staff members. That was another tactic or idea that we shared.
Awesome. I like your virtual background too, Isaac. Sweet.
Thank you for sending that.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so let's see. I think what I'm going to do is give away 2 things right now to those of you who were kind enough to stay, because you must be present to win. So I have one ACSA jacket. It's for, one is for a man and one is for a woman. Josh, could you pull up the picture real quick so that they can see what they'd be winning?
Sure, give me a moment.
And maybe I won't use the raffle wheel for this one. I'll use the raffle wheel for the next one that I'm about to give away. But who has a birthday this month? Anyone? Any October birthdays? No? Okay, any November birthdays? No November birthdays? Really? Okay, what about December?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. You have a birthday tomorrow? Oh.
She does. My daughter does.
Oh, yeah, no, not your daughter. Okay, but Rachel has a birthday in December. Yeah. Okay, Rachel, well, I'm going to show you what you just won then.
No way.
Of the raffle. Yes. Josh is about to pull up a slide for us with a picture of the ACSA jacket that you just won.
Oh, nice.
Yay. Thank you for coming. This is what happens when you come to a membership event. So you get the ladies denim jacket.
Cute.
It's really cute. Denim's coming back. That's what they say. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yay. Yay to Rachel. Rachel, let me get I'm going to write your name down so I don't forget to mail it to you. Rachel. Okay, awesome. All right, and then our last giveaway is a complimentary registration to our upcoming Leadership Summit, which was supposed to be in San Diego, but now it's just from your home. So I know that's less exciting, but it's, you know, some professional development. Anyway, so if Josh wants to pull up that wheel for me, then we can select a random winner. November 5th through 6th, virtual conference.
I don't know if you want to randomly select somebody from the group that's here, because
I would like to try to, but if someone wants to give me an idea on how to do that, go ahead and let's spin the wheel and see if it lands on somebody who's here. If not, then we'll get creative.
We like the wheel.
I like the wheel too. Celeste. Is Celeste here? Of course, Celeste isn't here. The wheel always lands on somebody who's not here. It just makes me crazy. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any suggestions on how I might be able to give this away randomly? Other than closing my eyes and pointing at a box? I mean, that's my go-to.
How about the newest ACSA member, so they have an opportunity to go?
Oh, okay, I like that. Who is the newest ACSA member? Like who joined? Okay, so I see 1, 2, on 1, 2. So I see Becca and Edward.
Edward's new.
Edward's new, Becca's new. Okay, so now we have to choose between Edward and Becca. So
how new are they?
Yeah, how new are you? When did you guys join?
I joined in August. This is my 2nd year as a principal.
Okay, Edward. Can you beat August?
We can't hear you.
You're on mute.
I'm not sure if I joined in August or September. I don't remember.
No.
I just know as soon as I could, I did.
Edward.
Okay.
Edward's a first year assistant principal.
I am.
Congratulations, okay. Edward. Woo-hoo!
All right. Thank you, Becca, for being so gracious. All right, Edward. I'm going to send you the registration for Leadership Summit.
Oh,
all right. Awesome. And that pretty much wraps up our program, you guys. I hope it was a productive hour and a half for you, that you made some new connections, that you have some new strategies to apply self-care. And we want to thank Dr. Joelle Hood. Joelle, do you want to say anything before we jump off?
Just thank you, and I'll see you at the Leadership Summit.
That's right. That's right. We want to thank our partner, AIG. Gary, if he's still here, we want to thank you for your support and your Echo Dot. We love that. Yeah, and so hopefully I'll see you guys at the next membership event. Just keep your eyes open for those invites in your email box and on social media. You know, we're always trying to think of great ways to keep you engaged and to support you in this new virtual world that we're living in. Feel free to message me with any requests. If you have any great ideas, let me know. We'll try to make them all happen. All right. Otherwise, great seeing you guys. Take good care of yourselves because our kids need you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.